aircraft leaders, welcome back to my channel. Here we are back at Com Decision Tree. This is Rupert Craig Highway and the Atlantic Ocean. It's Saturday morning. It's about 6 a.m. Saturday, 4th of November 2023. And this is what I want to show you. I want to show you what's happening here with this new wider road to Prasad Nagar. So last time I made a video about this road. It was not yet paved, but now they're starting to cover it with stones, and I just wanted to bring you an update on what's happening with this Prasad Nagar road. That's looking east along River Craig Highway. That's looking west along River Craig Highway. Remember, this lot is full of trees. A few years ago it was empty, and now it's covered with vegetation. So the construction of these retaining walls and the culverts have been completed. Right, this is what was on the construction the last time we were here. That's been completed, and they've now covered it with stones in preparation for asphalt pavement. And it's now wider, it's a wider intersection. It seems as if it's going to accommodate turning lanes as well as 4 regular lanes. So this is what's happening. Here they've actually opened again the canal. It's wider and deeper. At least this one has retaining walls on both sides. It seems to end up abruptly at the entrance to Dheli Springs. But this is it, guys. This is what's happening. This is the update on the construction of this road here at Conversation Tree. There used to be a tree in the middle of the road right at that intersection, and I don't know if they're going to replace it. It doesn't seem as if they're going to replace it. I think it looked like they were going to replace it at one point, but it doesn't seem so anymore. This is the entrance to Dheli Springs. They've actually taken down the guard hut, so you can kind of gated. There's a gate that you could want to consult with people. There's that building. I promise to give you an update on that building at some point. It's a new building here in Dheli Springs. Hasn't been open yet. We'll do it at some point. Here it is. Canals are open, and the road is not yet open, still closed to traffic, but being covered with stones. Now this road is supposed to go all the way through to Prasad Nagar, as we saw in the previous video. And this is an update on how far they've come since that video, about a month ago, I suppose. It's still on construction, so there's a pile of stone here. It's eventually going to get spread over the remainder of the road. Right, it's a huge pile of stone. On this side, it's the east side, the west side, that's the Dheli Gardens. It's a gated community. The other side is also a gated community, Dheli Springs. So we haven't really been able to explore those communities yet. Promise to get some permission to do a walkthrough in the future. I haven't done so yet. But this is what's happening here as we approach the intersection with the train line road. You can see the excavators are still working. That's see what they've done. Here they've completed the culvert. They've completed this culvert. And they're now laying this mat of plastic mesh and then covering, I guess, with stones. What's interesting is that they're reducing the diameter, the width of these drainage canals. I don't know what impact that's going to have on drainage. As you see, this used to be wide reservoirs. This is the intersection with the train line road at Blegasite Gardens. And that's how much they've completed so far. Right, the section from the seawall up to here, the train line road. Now on the other side of the train line road, they're still building these retaining walls. Right, so this retaining wall is still under construction. Retaining walls. I don't know why these drains are going to be so narrow. It seems as if those drains could actually have been built wider. But we'll see what they look like in the end after they're completed. And that's what's happening. Next section of the road. Here again. Completing retaining walls, filling in the parapet with sand. I guess this section is going to be covered. Right, they have a covered drain. And they're covering the part of the road they've reclaimed from the side with stone. So this is what is happening here as we head towards Prasad Nagar. This is Mike's Pharmacy. They built this, I don't know, 7 years ago. 7 years ago, about 7 years ago now. Building, and this is what's happening with this section of the road that's being widened. It's not going to be as wide as the section at the beginning when you get off of the Good Friday Highway. On this side, that's Plantation Bel Air. Plantation Bel Air was the home of Dr. Chetty Jagan, the founding leader of the People's Progressive Party, the now ruling PPP. And on the other side, that's Campbellville. Well, Blegasite and then Campbellville. That's Blegasite. But south of Blegasite, you get Campbellville. Here they're putting down the stone. Putting down the stone at the entrance to Stone Avenue. This is the beginning of Stone Avenue. Traffic is coming out. Walk on this covered drain. So this is what's happening, guys. Not much was happening to this end. since the last time we were here. They're filling in the sides, the parapets that they've reclaimed, make this wider, and they're building out the road that runs beside Prasad Nagar. That's Prasad Nagar on the left, on the eastern side. Right, that's Plantation Bel Air, and on the other side of the street, south side of the street, that's Prasad Nagar. And they seem to be building a wider road in this section. Let's go a little bit down into this Prasad Nagar section and see how much road they've built. It seems as if this is going to be a wider road. And this is a road that runs beside now Prasad Nagar. We've actually seen this is called Dheli Avenue in Prasad Nagar. Right, I think this is where Dheli Avenue starts when you get into Prasad Nagar, that intersection. On that side, Blegaside, and on this side, Campbellville, and now Prasad Nagar. Now I've done a number of videos on Prasad Nagar, the story of Prasad Nagar. You could go see some of those videos for the origin story of Prasad Nagar. But this is what it looks like now. A lot of people have remigrated and renovated their homes. Some of the homes are still in their original state, so these were typical homes in the 1960s when the community was built. But a lot of people have returned from living abroad, having migrated years ago to rebuild their homes here in Prasad Nagar. And now the government is rebuilding the road. So one of the discussions that is ongoing in Guyana is the waste of money that is clearly happening in the infrastructure development programs. So while the government is spending upwards of $1 billion on widening roads and building new roads and so on, what is happening is that a lot of that money is being wasted because the contractors who are given the contracts to build these roads are not qualified. So they're usually friends and family of the ruling government, and so there's an ongoing issue of corruption that lots of people who live here, the local Guyanese, can clearly see but can do nothing about because of so-called democracy. You voted for these people, that is, half of the country voted for these people, and therefore we have to live with whatever corruption they bring. And you have to wait until election time to remove the corrupt officials so that you can put a new government in, and then they also become corrupt, because unfortunately that's the nature of corruption. It doesn't really have a political party. It's about greed. And so while it's great to look at roads that are being built and developed, the issue that is hidden is the quality of these roads is not really good, and therefore the billions that are being spent are wasted on infrastructure that will deteriorate and be destroyed in a matter of time, in a very short time. And that's usually, or that's the ongoing concern. This is another home in Prasad Nagar that was probably renovated from, but the land was preserved from what was built there after it was demolished. And they built a massive mansion Right, so a lot of people who return from abroad come back to Guyana and build mega mansions like this. Some people come back and start businesses, and the going racket now is getting contracts, and a lot of these contracts are being given out to friends and family of the local government or of the national government, and that usually is a recipe for poor work, because it's really not about getting the infrastructure built, it's about getting access to the money, and in this case billions of dollars, because I pointed out one in a previous video in the comments. Somebody wanted me to give a mathematical calculation of what is being wasted, and of course people who don't believe this, no amount of mathematical evidence is going to convince them. But I pointed out, for example, that let's look back at Dheli Avenue. This is what they've built so far, and you can see on the other side of Dheli Avenue a lot of construction, excavation is continuing for the new road. Right, they've leveled the field, this reserve sort of land between Prasad Nagar and Campbellville. So yeah, what I was pointing out to one of those people in the comment section is that a contract for a pump station was given to one Mr. Mikhail Rodriguez, otherwise known as the Guyanese critic, and that contract got approved for $865 million to build a pump station. But 3 years ago, under the previous government, the cost of building a pump station was 335 million Guyana dollars. So there's a difference of $530 million between construction of a pump station, the price of construction of a pump station on the coalition government and on the new PVPC government. That difference of $500 million is equivalent to about $2.5 million US dollars. So $2.5 million US dollars is the inflated cost of building a pump station now, and that $2.5 million US dollars is going to end up in the pockets of somebody who, you know, is a friend or family of the current government and got the connections to get that contract. And so what is being stolen is significant. In other words, if you do the math, there is more money being stolen than what it costs to build the infrastructure. In other words, if it costs $335 million to build a pump station and the government is now paying $865 million for it, that $530 million is more than would be necessary enough to complete 2 pump stations, but half of it is being stolen. So for each infrastructure, it's kind of a metric, right? An estimate. For each piece of infrastructure that's being built, half of the money is being stolen. And it's being stolen legally because these contracts are being approved by the Procurement Commission. There's an office for procurement. So while I show you the infrastructure that is being built, what I'm also telling you is that the true cost of this infrastructure is half of what the government is spending to build it, and half of that money the other half is being stolen. And I'm also telling you that the quality of what is being built is also being compromised because, you know, people who are building it are not qualified contractors to do this. They're just friends and family who get the contracts. Now, there are other people who are explaining this stuff more. You know, there are other people on social media who are explaining this stuff. Mary Mel, for example, has been explaining it. I don't really trust Glenn Lal. His analysis is often inaccurate and incorrect, but he has good intentions, holding the government accountable. It's just that he is not really a bright guy. But other people are explaining what's happening with the money that's being being spent for infrastructure development. That's Dheli Avenue, guys. This is how we walked the length of Dheli Avenue from the end, from the beginning. That is from where we started out there at the Conversation 3 intersection with Rupert Craig Highway. We've walked beside, this is Prasad Nagar, and all the way along Dheli Avenue to see what's happening with this new road, this new wider road that they're building here in Prasad Nagar. And this is how far they've come. Alright, so they're widening Dheli Avenue, building out this drainage system. Right, they've put in retaining walls and made this drainage system, this drain, wider and deeper, and they're building another road. It's going to run beside Dheli Avenue so that you have wider access roads into Prasad Nagar. I've done videos about Prasad Nagar if you want to go check those out. But this is what's happening here. Morning. Want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe as we head on out. I guess this is Campbell Avenue. Head on out over to Campbellville and out of Prasad Nagar. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in this neck of the woods, in the fastest growing country in the world, with all the complications of spending billions of dollars on infrastructure. Later! See what this looks like when it's finished.